All right. Welcome back to Passion in the Purpose. I am here with my dear friend Sabrina. Right now, we are in the middle of our real world learning challenge. Well, actually, we're not in the middle. We literally just started, but we're in kind of the middle of the first month. And the first month for August is the theme is baking. And not that Sabrina does a whole lot of like the baking side, but she does do a lot with food. And so I really wanted to have her on. Her business has become like super popular in our area, and everything she does is so beautiful. And I just wanted to share a little bit about her and what she does. So, Sabrina, actually, if you don't mind, I'll let you introduce yourself and your business a little bit to them. I'll stop talking because I'm sure you have a lot better things to say.
So, hey everyone, I'm super blessed to be on here with Kara and sharing a little bit about what I do in our community. I am the owner of the Grazing Haus, Ocala, and basically what that is it's a charcuterie experience. And if you're not familiar with charcuterie, it's basically just cured meats that are displayed on a board, and then we add meats and cheeses and seasonal fruits and veggies and nuts and dried fruits and crackers or bread and dips and all of the delicious things that we love to eat. It's just on a board. And, it was started off as a fun ladies' night out for me, as I used to teach the workshops in a local coffee shop. And she decided to close the business. And I didn't want to stop doing it. Like, it became a passion. I have a background in education. And then I realized like teaching children wasn't the platform anymore, but it just happens to be food. It's been a cool experience, and I decided to bring that to the Ocala area. So not only do we offer boards and boxes, but we do large grazing tables and spreads, and in addition to charcuterie workshops. So if you've maybe seen it on Pinterest or you tried yourself, the workshop really is kind of an all-inclusive hands-on experience of how to create your own charcuterie board yourself.
And I've been on your Instagram, and everything just looks so amazing. So
Thank you.
beautiful. I just like want to eat it all.
It's definitely a fun way to eat. I think I'm a mama of two little kiddos, and as you kind of discover in toddlerville that not everything that we eat, they like to eat. So even charcuterie is a really fun way to display food in a creative manner that is really friendly for kids as well. With our family, we don't really always eat the meats and cheeses, that's just our personal preference, but everything has become a snack tray in our house. That's what we call it. I don't care if we're having steak and potatoes. It's designed in a snack tray, and they just love it. They're using toothpicks or little baby forks or spoons. Like, they just feel a little fancy, and they really do enjoy it. So this is definitely kid friendly and a really great way to start to add new things to your family's like menu or palette.
So you talked about how like meats and cheeses and adding in some fruit and stuff, that's kind of like your typical charcuterie board, right? But I've
Correct.
seen some also that are like bring in other different types of food as well. So like maybe like breakfast ones,
No,
or
yes.
I think I saw
So
like a French toast one, and I was like, what?
yeah. So, the concept of that is more of like you're taking the charcuterie styling aspect, and then you're just designing your board in that kind of family style of eating. And so technically, charcuterie is basically cured meats, and it cannot be called a charcuterie board unless it does have some kind of cured meat on it. And so if you just, let's say, have fruit and cheese, then it's just a cheese board, right? Or just a fruit tray, or just a brunch board, right? So unless it starts to have some of those aged and cured meats, technically the French wouldn't be pleased if you called it a charcuterie board, right? But I love just like I said before, a fun way to display food that really gets people excited, especially kids. I mean, if you cut the hot dog in half and then you
Right.
put it with something different, something different like that, the kids are like, oh my God, what is this? I'm sorry, I do really
Have
like
you
to.
turned a hot dog into a flower though?
Not yet, because I don't eat hot dogs.
Yeah.
So no. Um, maybe if somebody requested it, I could attempt, but not quite. Nobody's really asked for weird off the wall things yet. So cross our fingers and nobody comes in.
Maybe I'll be the first.
And it's really great in accommodating different dietary needs. And I know you have certain dietary restrictions and things, a diet that you focus on, and it's really great for that. You can take the cheese out, you can find a vegan cheese, you can do all veggies, you can take the meat out altogether, and replace it with fruit or something different. And so that's what's really fun about the whole process.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you say to somebody who say like maybe it's like is it expensive to make a charcuterie board, or like does it cost a lot of money, or can you get things a little bit cheaper to kind of bake things? Like what is your thought process on that?
Yeah, so the cost kind of depends on how many people you're trying to feed, right? So the average or the standard portion size of meat per person is 1 ounce of meat and 2 ounces of cheese, right? So it's very rare though that you can find 1 ounce of meat in the store or 1 or 2 ounces of cheese, right? They're getting better at giving little smaller, like 3 bites. So I think in hindsight, it's cost effective if you're serving a large amount of people. If you're just trying to make a board just for yourself, it gets pricey because you have to buy a whole block of cheese or a whole packet of salami, which serves 16 people. So it just kind of balances. I've learned which stores have very cost-effective things versus which ones don't. And it can be super customizable. I mean, you could literally go to the Wawa and find good options and get fancy and put it on a board. But Aldi is a really great, place to start if you are trying to be budget friendly, especially involve your kids, because they have so many different options there for a very good cost.
That's a good tip. So what are like some skills that you use in your job every day that, either traditional skills you learn from school, or things you've learned? Like what are the type of things that you do with your job?
Oh man, it's a myriad of things, right? So I think communication is big, and learning how to really understand the needs of the client or the customer. So listening, being able to almost regurgitate what they've said to you. Which is listening. I mean, listening, budgeting, goodness, sleep management, time management, math skills, writing, art, all of these, different things that, we've learned along the way. And it just kind of has meshed itself into one business. I think for this particular job, I think it's a lot of creativeness on my end, right? So you can see a hunk of cheese and to maybe Joe, it's just a hunk of cheese, but to me, I can see that I can cut it 4 different ways and design it or style it in a different pattern every single time, right? And so that is the fun part for me. It's like art, with food.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to ask that question because I want people to start thinking about some of those like things that children need to know and they need to develop and they need to learn, things that might not be happening in a traditional school setting, right? But it's something more that maybe us as parents need to be working on, right? To help them, become those lifelong learners, but actually be prepared for whenever they need to, leave our nest and go and get
Right.
real jobs. Maybe a traditional school setting is not going to teach you how to like actually sit and listen and those active listening skills, like you mentioned. Like, so I really,
Right.
appreciate it. And I love how you said like the communication skills and those things you said first. You didn't say, oh, I needed math for this, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's and I think another one too that I forgot to mention is playing with your food. And I know as a mom myself, like the concept of going to a restaurant is super stressful for me because you have to be a certain type of way in a restaurant, right? You don't want your table to seem like the crazy one. It's your own perception of your own self, right? You don't want to be judged because your kids are all over the place. But I know at our home, at our table, you have a little bit more freedom. And I was told or heard as a kid, don't play with your food or don't play with your food. But like in hindsight, this is
That's what
really
you're
what it
doing.
yeah, it's really what I'm doing. Like I could have just kept the cheddar the way the cheddar was, but unless I played with the cheddar and cut it in different shapes, big and small, I wouldn't have learned that it can be, designed or styled in a certain way. And so inviting your kids to do that at the table and giving them different utensils, especially when you're cooking, and involving them in that process allows them to be creative and think of different ways, and allows them to smell all the food. Like it's just, I love involving kids with cooking because it's so fun. Like smell it, taste it, touch it, lick it, smash it, crush it. And it's just a whole sensory thing as well. And I
Uses
think a lot of,
all of our
yeah,
senses, all of them.
all of it. And when we're in the thick of parenthood, it seems like, oh my gosh, it's a mess, right? I know our table, it's a beautiful table that, like a farmhouse, it is all kinds of janked up, like they're smeared and things. But at the end of the day, it's like that was their experience with the food. And I mean, maybe one day they'll be doing this as well, or maybe they'll be a food blogger or a stylist or a chef, or it just leads to so many different things. Or maybe they'll hate food altogether. It doesn't matter. At least they've had that experience and they can know, well, I tried cheddar before and I kind of liked it, but mom made it with mac and cheese, and maybe I will make it with something else. And so I think that that's an underrated skill that parents could allow to happen.
Yeah. So do you have recommendation on like if we try to make a charcuterie board with my children, like how do you suggest going about doing that? Like maybe where should we begin?
Good tip. I would suggest inviting them to maybe choose a plate that they love in the house. Doesn't matter what kind. Could be a top to the pretzel cup. It could be anything or even a cup, right? Give them a few toothpicks and find some of their kid, friendly utensils and bring it to the table. Allow them, maybe take them to the store and say, I want you to choose a fruit that's the color green today, right? And then you're learning those colors and they get to choose it. And then ask them, say, hey, I want you to choose a cheese that you like today. It doesn't matter what cheese it is, just let them choose it. And then invite them to say, okay, what's a meat or a protein that you would like today? And that could be anything. If they choose yogurt, or maybe in your house cheese is protein, or maybe it's a sausage or a hot dog, like any lunch deli meat, it doesn't matter. Let them start there and then invite them to say, okay, how could you cut the cheese in a certain way? Can we make a triangle out of it? Or can you make a circle? So just inviting them to use the shapes and the knowledge that they have, and then ask them, say, where could you put this on the plate? Where would you like to put it on the plate? Okay. And just kind of walk them through that step. And that's what I love about charcuterie. There's no right way to do it or style it on the board. And I tell that in my workshops too, because everybody's trying to look at my model board when they're doing it. There's so many perfectionists, which is really my soul. That's who I am as a student. So they're like looking and trying to copy me. And I'm like, no. We're all flowers, or every board's a flower. It's not going to be the same. And so I'm just really having open conversation and not trying to correct their creativity. Right. And so just invite them to just display it and then ooh and all over it, and allow them to choose a dip. Maybe they love hummus, they like ranch, or maybe they like something different. Put it in a cute little jar. Get your cookie cutters out and just get sliced cheese and cookie cutter out, shapes out of the cheese. And to them, it's the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome. Yeah, I should probably I need to get some like little tiny cookie cutters, and that would be really cool, fun thing. Yeah.
They do. They have them on Amazon. I think it's like $9.99, but you get like 30.
Oh,
And
wow.
some are Disney characters, some are shapes, some are letters, all kinds of different ones. And they're fun. They're like little petite ones, and they're perfect for cutting out sliced cheese. I love to use provolone. That's the best, like sliced provolone from Aldi. That's the best one to cut the cutters out because it's not crumbly. It's really kind of solid and doesn't fall apart. That would be a really cool sensory alphabet game too.
Yeah.
To find the letter C and eat it, right? So all kinds of fun stuff with that.
A whole alphabet and shape board.
Yeah, hey, and it's snack time at the same time, right? Double duty.
All right, so during our challenge each month, not only are we focusing on like a specific theme, so this theme is baking and food and all of that, but we also are focusing on like a different character quality each month. And so this month is hospitality. And I think just by like looking at like say your Instagram, I know that you like hospitality is a huge thing for your business, right? Like you have to be hospitable on so many different levels. Could you like share a little bit about that with us? How you use your business to help like serve others too?
Yes, 100%. And I've worked in the hospitality business the majority of my life. That just kind of brought me through college, and just as extra money, or just honestly to be around adults sometimes. And I don't know, I have a heart of service, and so when food is involved with it, it just is that much more special to me, because I feel like in all of our souls, there's something about food that brings comfort. And so if I know that I can bring that comfort to every kind of person that I meet, that I know that it's leaving them better than I found them. And that's really the heart of what the Grazing House is. I try really, really hard to make sure that I leave every event, every client, every phone call, I leave them feeling better than I found them, excited about interacting with me and enjoying the charcuterie or grazing experience, whether it's their 50th time or their very first time. It's super important for me to lead with that. And hospitality is that, like, with certain individuals in your life whose home makes you feel like home, right? It's just a big grandma hug, whether you're eating the cookie, it just invokes like memory and experience and just love. And it's just really at the heart of what we do here at the Grazing House. And I'm glad that transfers through the images, but
Definitely.
everything is very, for me anyways, it's become a meditative experience when I style things, but it's also done with love. I mean, I don't know about you guys out there, but I've cooked dinner before mad and it doesn't taste good. So there's something about doing things with love, serving others with love, that really does make a difference. And I think that my following, the people and the clients that I've experienced or been a part of, also feel that from me. And I think it just makes all the difference when you're teaching your kids the importance of what hospitality is. And
I think also not only like your images, but you share stories too. I think like one that was memorable to me that you shared was like you did like a giveaway. I think you asked people to nominate somebody who was deserving of a board or whatever it was, and how you delivered it. And it was like to an older lady, I think. And I think that's just really special, and that you were able to deliver, this on behalf of someone to someone who was deserving. And I think that's really special. I think that's something that we all could do, right?
Yeah, and you know what? That's been like this unconscious blessing in my own life, is I never even thought that it would be like gifting to each other. And I thought it would just be more like charcuterie would just be like for events. But especially, I started last October. So, through the beginning of the year, people still were kind of cautious about gathering. But so many customers have been, it's so and so's birthday. I want you to deliver a box. It's my mom's anniversary, or it's my grandma's 95th birthday, or so and so hasn't been out of the house. They couldn't celebrate their anniversary. I'm dropping off a bottle of wine. Can you drop off the charcuterie? Like things like that. And I let them leave special notes, and just seeing what they say to each other, like it warms my heart. I was like, I could just give this stuff away for free. Like this is enough for me. But I love it. It's been more gifts to each other in the community rather than events with my business. And that just shows just the heart of our community, and how important giving to each other is.
I love that. That's so sweet. So you mentioned that you teach classes.
Yes.
Do you teach in-person classes, online? How do you do all that?
Yeah, so with the workshops, there's so many different ways that we can do that. So here at the Gathering Cafe, this is a location that we can teach a workshop at. So this is a larger location, so we can usually fill up to 25 guests here, and it can be super interactive with here. It can be privately in your home with at least 8 guests or 8 friends, 8 couples, and we would just do it in your private residence. We can also do online, or we can collaborate together and figure out maybe there's another location around town that you're really interested in that we can teach a workshop at. But I also do, those are like private. So every single person that's attending. But there are public workshop options that we actually have one this month at Corkscrew downtown. It's kind of like a ladies' night with a wine pairing with that, and that would be public. So maybe you're sitting at a table and you don't know everybody there, just other ladies in the community. That also, we do that too. So it's kind of hit or miss with which ones we do when, but it's just about, demand and who's interested. But lots of different options. I have also done online as well. We're kind of planning one with a larger corporation right now for me to host an online charcuterie class. You kind of receive all of the step-by-step instructions, you purchase the ingredients, and then I instruct how to set your board up via like a Zoom call, which is fun too.
That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered doing a kids class?
A kids club? I have, because most of my moms who purchase these boards, they're saying my kid, likes to eat it. And so I had asked the client once, I said, do you think that your 7-year-old would be ever interested in doing like a class? They were like, yes, I think they would. So I'm open to it. I have a background in elementary education, so I'm used to, herding the cats, if you will. But I think when food is involved, or even like art, they are so focused, and it brings out a sense of peace with them, a sense of excitement. It's a little competitive too, because they're trying to make their board look the best, but I think it would be a great option. I think I would have to do a specific age limit though, or age range, but I think that would be a fun opportunity as well.
Yeah. So there are going to be some people on here that are watching from all across the country, some locally to us. Where can people find you online?
Yeah. So we have a few different options. I have a working website that you can actually purchase it's like an online store. So it's called www.thegrazinghausocala.com, and house is Haus. You can find all of the information on workshops, on boards, information on our grazing tables, which would be if you have a group of 20 or more people, a grazing table is usually a more cost-effective option for you, and just more of a showstopper if you want to kind of appease your guests. So that's there. If you find me on Instagram, it's the Grazing Haus Ocala, so Haus Ocala, and that's the same for Facebook as well.
Perfect. I'll put those links in the description box of our video so people can access that quickly and find you and book some appointments with you or classes or whatever. I hope people reach out to you because you're so awesome and I love
Thank
everything
you.
that you do.
Thank you very much. And with the online store too, you don't necessarily have to reach out to me to see if I'm available kind of deal. I get an email if you've ordered, or you can send an email through an inquiry page through there. I just need 48 hours in advance, usually for boards. Right now we're about booking a month in advance for our grazing tables. So things are getting busy. I really believe it's going to be a busy holiday season. So people are ready to kind of get back to festivities and gatherings or corporate parties. So please plan ahead. That's all that I can, because I don't want to say no to you. I want to give you the best experience, and your guests a great experience as well. But I also have to sleep a little bit too somewhere along the way.
Wait, what is that?
All right.
But I'm so happy that you said that because I kind of tend to be the person who waits till the last minute. So good to know.
And if I cannot do it, I'm really good at referring out, other local business or different things that you can do. I've got a ton of resources too. So if you're like, listen, I want you, but I don't know anything else about the details, I've got a list of resources and partnerships and connections that we can just chat with, which I don't mind having a phone call with you. And that kind of ties into that hospitality. It's like, I just want to create almost an all-inclusive experience. And maybe I'm not the one that's going to be decorating the event, but I do have a lot of friends who can do that for you. So I don't want you to feel lost and overwhelmed. And people are like, well, you don't like to do parties. I'm like, no, it overwhelms me. I just make the food and leave. Like,
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you that are watching and you're saying, what in the world is this real world learning challenge thing that you're doing? I'll have a link to that in the description box as well. Basically, it's just a challenge that I have for parents to come together and use real world hands-on learning experiences to teach our children to be intentional about teaching them life skills and different character traits and things that are important for life that maybe they're not getting in a traditional school setting, or maybe this is something that you could add to your homeschooling. There's so many different options, and I'd love to have you join us. So you can go on to my website as well at passioninthepurpose.com. You can find more information about that as well. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great week.
bye.